Welcome to BACKtalk, the premier podcast from Successful Black Parenting Magazine, featuring in-depth conversations and expert insights on crucial topics for Black families. We are ranked number one on FeedSpot, and we are the best family podcast and number one on Million Podcasts as well. So we are doing it out here. I'm your host, Janice Robinson-Celeste. And now, Successful Black Parenting Magazine has an interactive community of like minded Black parents called Black Parenting Academy, where you can converse and post questions, comments, and wins and concerns too in a safe space. I will be sharing that link later during the show, so watch for it. Question: if trauma can live in our bloodline, what happens when we start teaching healing instead? Let's find out. Stay tuned after this message.
This is BACKtalk by Successful Black Parenting Magazine, the most listened to podcast for parents by parents.
Hello, Successful Black parents. Thank you for tuning into BACKtalk by Successful Black Parenting Magazine, your go-to podcast talk show for parents. We are live, and that means you can post your questions in the comment section of our Facebook or YouTube pages, and I will address your questions on air. Please don't forget to share if you care. Send our podcast to friends, shout it out to your followers, and don't forget to post using hashtag BACKtalk. On this episode of BACKtalk, we have joining us today Gilbert Martina. Hi, Gilbert. How are you?
Hello, good morning. How are you, Janice? And good morning to the audience too.
I'm so happy to have you. You're going to reveal how Black parents can break cycles of generational trauma using rituals of belonging, storytelling, and cultural connection. So I'm so excited to talk to you about this.
Yes. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And I would love to talk with you about it, which is basically my own life story that I have experienced and from living a life that, stories and that you have been told from living a life being in your purpose, which is a huge difference.
All right. Well, I wanted to welcome you to the show, first of all, but I want you to introduce yourself a little bit more because I gave you kind of a little bit of an introduction, but you've done so much more. So share a little bit about your journey from healthcare executive to ancestral health educator, please.
Yes. Well, I'm born and raised on the beautiful island of Curaçao. Curaçao is an island in the Caribbean part of the Netherlands. And Curaçao used to be, centuries ago, the main port for transatlantic slavery. The first inhabitants of Curaçao were the Indians, the Arawak Indians from South America, Amazon. So that's the first shamanism contact that Curaçao used to have with humans. Mm-hmm. And then we came from West Africa. My descendants are from West Africa, Benin and Togo, which also have a huge knowledge about shamanism. And that came to the Caribbean and spread all around the Caribbean. So I was born and raised here, went to the Netherlands to study with 16 years. And at 13 years, I have experienced what I call my first trauma, although it was not directly to me. But I saw how my father came home one night, gave my mother a slap in the face. And my mother said, I'm divorcing that man because no one hits me. And she told me, you are the oldest. You can decide, you can stay or you can go with mom. And I went with her. But from that moment, Janice, my father, which was my best friend, I learned cooking from him. I learned astrology, nature. I learned everything. A lot of things for him, music. My connection with him was just disrupted. I couldn't talk to him anymore. I couldn't face him. That was with 13 years. I went to study with 16 years. And it took me 30 years before I could get back into a relationship to my father. And that came during a retreat that I did with the shamans. And one of them told me, Gilbert, tell me about your father, because I see that you have an imprint. You have a dense energy in your luminous energy system on your heart, and that has something to do with your father. So then I explained to him what has happened, and he said, "Yeah, you have to release that because if you don't release that, you will become ill of a heart disease. And my father died 2 years ago, Janice. And I'm so glad that I could restore that relationship with him. I could get into a normal relationship with him years before he died, because I was at his bed for his last breath, when he took his last breath, and I did help him with the transition to the spiritual world, which was beautiful. So all of us experience pain and trauma in our life, but the magic is to see the pain not as a punishment, but as a lesson to grow. Pain is, we cannot avoid pain, but suffering is a choice. So when we convert pain, it becomes trauma, it becomes suffering. We got stuck in a story like a bad dream, and we have to step out of that story. And stepping out of that story, meaning, and that's basically what ancestral healing is. Ancestral healing is making peace with the past to free the present and the future. So we accept the past as it is, because I cannot change that my mother and my father divorced when I was 13. I cannot change that my mother gave my father a slap in the face, but I can change the way I will be living in the future and how I will be teaching my children, and my children will be teaching their children. So, and I grew up in a family of nursing. My mother was a nursing, father was a nursing. So I want to become a doctor. I couldn't get admitted to that. I studied chemical engineering. Then I changed from chemical engineering to management. I became the CEO of the hospital of Curaçao for almost 8 years. And then I realized there must be more in life than just working and earning money. So where's the purpose of life? And that's when I started 7 years ago, actually, to go to indigenous populations in the Amazon. And the wisdom they have there, Janice, is so grateful and so useful. One of the sayings one of the shamans told me, he said, Gilbert, in the West, we have a lot of data and information. And data and information is knowing that water, the chemical structure of water is H2O, but wisdom is being able to make it rain when it's necessary. And that's a huge difference. Because you're then co-creating with the universe for a general purpose, for a greater good than yourself. And that's where the magic happens, Janice.
Oh, that's fantastic. I was about to ask you, we ask all our guests, like, to tell us one thing about you that most people don't know or that's different. And you gave us so much in that introduction that, I mean, just going out and living in the Amazon with indigenous people, I think that does it. I think that answers that question. Unless you have something else, because that was pretty awesome. Like, not too many people get to do that. So
Yeah.
how was that experience?
Yes.
It sounds like it was pretty awesome. How long did you stay there?
I stayed from 2017. I went 7 times, and every time I stayed like 3 weeks to a month, because I was in a busy schedule being CEO. But something inside me was telling me, my God, you have to go to a place where there's peace. And one of the things the shamans do, you have heard of it, they use a vine that is called ayahuasca, which is actually DMT. DMT. We produce in our guts, we produce serotonin, which is transported to our brains, being converted in melatonin. And melatonin helps us to get to sleep and to dream. And when we dream, melatonin is converted in DMT, which is dimethyltryptamine, which is the bliss molecule. It helps us to have a sense of oneness, Janice, and not to see everyone as our enemy. So, one of the first ayahuasca ceremonies I did, I experienced what we called a out-of-body experience. My physical body was dissolved, and what was left was pure energy, pure soul. And I'm getting the goosebumps, Janice, once you exposed to something like that, you start asking yourself, what are we doing here on this earth, and why are we killing each other? Why we see anyone as our enemy? Why we all here for giving, providing unconditional love, sharing, and helping each other. That's our main purpose. So I said, I have to do something with this knowledge. That's why my book, Healthy Minds, Healthy Nations, and that's why also me and my lovely Queen Chantal, she is a yoga teacher, so we're going to put the knowledge of shamans from South America and from West Africa, and she is bringing the knowledge from yoga from India, which is also about knowing your body and getting the peace and tranquility into your mind and your body. We bring in that to help everyone in this crazy and turbulent world that we live in, Janice. More, but less and silence is much better, because all that noise is taking us away from our true purpose.
Wow. I'm glad you said that. You confirmed some things that I've always said. And I didn't get to go to the Amazon, but my philosophy is that we were put here on earth to help others and to leave the
Absolutely.
earth better than we found it. And I feel like
Absolutely.
we're failing so terribly at doing that. But
Absolutely.
that's been my guiding force in life. So I don't know how I got that, but I do feel like I'm always spiritually in tune. So
I can feel
I've
it.
been that way
I
since
can
a
see it.
kid. I've been that way since a kid. So that came to me a while ago, and I'm like, that's it. That's the meaning of
Yeah.
life. That's it.
Absolutely. One of the things that my father taught me is nature. Nature is so powerful. Go to the nature, swimming. We have beautiful oceans, of course, in the Caribbean. But if you don't have the ocean, go to the mountains, hug a tree, get grounded.
Grounding.
It's very important to be grounded, because we are living in a world where they are disconnecting us from what we truly are. We are energy beings. We are light beings. We are not as human beings in search of a spiritual experience. We are light beings emerged in a physical body. That's a huge difference. So being connected to nature, being connected to every being, is so important. And that's why the title of my book, because the separation takes place in our mind, Janice. In the light and in the energy field, there is no separation. There is no politics. There is no religion. There is no segregation based of money and where you come from. There is no separation in the energy field. The separation takes place in our minds. And that's why the title Healthy Minds, Healthy Nations, because our true power relies within silence, not with activity and business. That takes us away from who we truly are.
Right, right. Let's get talking about Black families and what does
Yes.
generational trauma really mean in the context of Black families, and how it subtly shows up in our day-to-day parenting. Like, what do you have to say about
Um,
that?
yes, that's very good question. Let me tell you what one of the things that I have experienced throughout my work as executive in different positions, an insurance company, the local refinery. I was the president of the supervisory board, and the last 8 years as CEO of the hospital. And now in my current function, I'm the president of the Football Federation. Is what I call, Janice, the crab in a barrel syndrome. And what is the crab in a barrel syndrome? We have been programmed for divide and conquer. And that goes back, I mean, centuries ago, when slaves were being transported to a new destiny in the Caribbean. The ones that were in charge of the transportation always make sure that there is a division between the slaves on the ship. And that division also continued on the land that where they arrived, because they gave him privilege to Gilbert. Gilbert gets a privilege to sleep in the house. Janice does not. And what does that cause between Janice and Gilbert? Jealousy and enviness. And we see that behavior up till today in our societies. I see it here on the island of Curaçao. I have seen it in other Caribbean islands, because we have been programmed to fight each other instead of collaborating with each other. And that's a huge aspect that we have to heal and get out of our system. because when we start collaborating, Janice, we are able to do so much more than we are seeing right now within communities within the Caribbean and in the world. So that's one of the very, very, very key aspect that I am addressing in my book, the crab in the barrel syndrome. We are programmed to fight each other, because when we fight each other, we not collaborating, and we not collaborating, we are weak. So if we start collaborating and take away that false music, false noise that they have programmed, you have to fight, you are much better. And the emptiness that we feel automatically when Janice is doing good, I'm not. If we start working on that on an individual and on a society level, Janice, we can do so much more that we are seeing right now.
Sure. But how does that translate to families and show up in parenting on a day-to-day basis?
Parents can educate their own children to one of the let me explain it like this. Every being on this planet or in the universe has its own moment to shine. The sun shines in the morning, the moon shines in the evening. So you can have that crab and barrel syndrome also in a family. The children sees that the other one maybe is getting too much attention or thinks is getting too much attention. So one of the aspects that the parents have to teach, all of you have the same attention, same importance for us as a parent. That's what me and my queen are teaching all children. There is no difference. Everyone has his own character, obviously, but the attention that everyone is getting is the same. And guess what? Your character shines at a moment that your brother or sister character will not, because his moment to shine is another moment. So we all have our moment to shine. So teaching, being equal, teaching to help, to share, to help each other, to not to fight each other. That's one aspect I think, Jen, is very important, that our parents, Black parents, can teach our children, not only Black, but every parent, because jealousy is programmed within the seek of the human being. We feel jealous for little things, but jealousy is a sign of, Martin Luther King has a beautiful way to say it. He says, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do. So loving our children and guiding them by principles, it's very, very important to raise a children that is not weak, does not doubt himself or herself, and acts out of purpose and out of love instead of out of scarcity. Because that's the mind that gets jealous, that's the mind that starts, fighting, that's the mind is always in, I'm less, here's more, and that's the mind that creates a human being, a family, a neighbor, and a nation that is out there for fight or flight instead of collaborating.
Okay. So how do we break the generational traumas in Black families? You have rituals or that heal and build belonging. Can you tell us about those?
Absolutely. One of the things that our ancestors did is storytelling around the fire. And storytelling is very important nowadays. We can light fire if it's possible, but if you don't have a fire, even a candle can do. Because storytelling gives the opportunity for you to tap into what is pressing you, what is suppressing you, and release that. Bring it up to a talking space. And a couple of things that are very important. We should quiet our mind, Janice, on a daily basis. You can call it meditation, you can call it mindfulness, but breathing exercises to just quiet the mind and listen to your inner voice. Storytelling for connecting and sharing is caring to someone with a pain, someone with a burden, and connecting to nature. And you don't have to live close to the sea. You don't have to take a flight to retreat. Every country has a part being a forest, being a tree, being a lake. Go to a place where you feel that you can be quiet and work on that inner peace and inner strength. So if I can advise a couple of things for families, storytelling, talk to your children on a daily basis. How are you doing? And not just how are you doing with the mind, but really get into the emotions, because we are exposed to so much stress and so much disturbances on a daily basis. And it's very important to feel and to have a connection with our children so we can sense where something is bothering them. Talk to them, let them express themselves, because by expressing themselves you get what is bothering you, or that energy or that feeling or that thought or the experience out of your system. And for deeper healing practices, we have what shamans call illumination. That's part of reading your energy system and clearing chakras that is blocked, because all diseases comes from disbalances in our energy system. And that's a much deeper exercise to do, but it is possible. It is possible. I have experienced magical things in the Amazon, and that's why I'm bringing this knowledge to the modern world, because I think we can prevent so many diseases nowadays, Janice. One of the things, for example, that in the Amazons, the ratio of dementia is 1 out of 100, and in the West is 1 out of 20. So much more people are having dementia and Alzheimer in the West compared to the indigenous in the Amazon. So we definitely doing something, eating something, and having a life, Janice, that is not beneficial for our mind and our body.
Okay, let me ask you, what are some signs that, especially parents, because we have the next generation. Sometimes we have 4 generations in our home or
Yes, yes,
nearby. What
yeah.
are some powerful signs that a parent might unknowingly be repeating a generational pattern? Like, how do they know? Like, sometimes it's just built in.
Yes, 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 yes. Very, very good question. What I see a lot, it's what we call the complexity syndrome. So a child that feels less than the brother, the sister, or at school, the peers at school, because nowadays, if you don't have Nike, if you don't have Adidas, if you don't have clothes with value or a brand, you don't count in the peers. And that's one of the things my mother and father taught us. They said, it's not the money, it's not the bank account, it's not your home, it's not your car that makes you a good human being. It's how you treat and relate to each other. And that's, I think, one of the key aspects for parenting. And look at your children and see if they pride, and not pride out of I'm superior, but pride out of collaborating and a sense of helping and a sense of being a good human being. Because greatness is not I'm more or less. Greatness is I'm here to help you and I'm here to serve you, Janice. And that's very, very important, because we can teach our children as good as we can, but they go out on a daily basis to a school where there are a lot of distractions, a lot of turbulence. They can get into friends, which you don't know what is the discussions going out there. And social media nowadays, Janice, there is a lot of information out there, but social media has a huge influence. And children nowadays, if you go somewhere with them to a restaurant, what is the Wi-Fi code? That's the first thing they ask. And the communication face to face is vanishing. So that's why storytelling, not with the phone in your hand, but let's talk to each other, let's communicate with each other is key, because that phone will not help you to release your emotions and talk about your emotions and release the pain you have.
Absolutely. Now, you're from Curaçao. I'm saying it wrong. It's Curaçao. I want to make sure I
Yes.
say it properly. And I wanted to know about the Afro-Caribbean traditions about connecting, healing, and mental wellness that families can learn from you and from where you're from. So, can you talk about those a little bit, your traditions?
Yes, absolutely. Like I said in the beginning, I think Curacao is blessed. Let me tell you a short story of the history books that when the sailors and the ships and the pirates were sailing by, all the salesmen that almost dying, they throw them on the island of Curacao, passed by, came back a couple of weeks, months, and everyone was alive and kicking. So the name of Curacao, Cura, the first original name is Curacaute, and Cura means healing. So Curacao has the nickname the Island of Healing, La Isla de la Sanidad, which means the Island of Healing. Because the energy on this island, Janice, I have talked to so many people, divorcing in a stress with sickness, they come to the island and they get a peaceful environment, they rest and they feel much better. So traditions that we have here on the island is connecting with herbs. There are so many herbs here, teas, for example, for relaxation before you go into sleep, for quieting the mind. Beaches, we don't have high hills and mountains, but the hills that we have, the ones that are connecting to the energy field, you feel a tremendous energy. Actually, the sanctuary is going to be opened close to the highest mountain because the energy there is just being in that place, Janice, you will feel a piece of tranquility and calmness. So herbs, family, and show storytelling is very important. Tradition is not only in the weekend, grandmother's house, but also during the week, because that's where the knowledge is, that's where the wisdom is. Um, Grandmothers, grandfathers, respecting the elderly, placing them into, into a podium where you enlighten them and getting the knowledge instead of putting them in a house or nursing house because they giving you too much issues. So those are the things that that we do here on the island. The community work is very, very important, and that's why after studying in the Netherlands, working there for almost 6 years, I came back because the Western societies are so much developed, but you lose the human contact. You lose the connection with your elders. You lose the connection with the ones you love and love you, and you start having a career based on more and more and more. I want a better job, I want a greater house, I want more salary, and it's never enough because once you start looking for happiness outside, you will never be happy because it is inside of every one of us. If what you have today is not making you happy, what you'll be having tomorrow won't make you happy neither. So
Okay, no, that's good. That's good wisdom right there. Let me talk about modern therapy. Like a lot of people need therapy that don't get it, but a lot of people are seeking out therapists. How can families blend modern therapy or mindfulness with ancestral practices for a balanced approach to wellness?
yes, very important. We cannot just take away modern therapy or Western medicine because it's needed. I mean, if you're in the jungle or in the forest and you will be bit by a cobra, you don't go to a shaman to heal you. You go to the ER for the antidote, and then maybe you go to the shaman to ask why was I bitten by the cobra. But we need both. And what we are seeing right now, Janice, is that the West has been so much based on science and data and information, and we have lost the connection with what we truly are. So how we can connect? We have to reconnect with our true purpose. We have to reconnect to the source. There is so much wisdom out there for us. Is what the Greeks call synapses, is knowing. Knowing is like you said to me to the beginning, you migrating to another country is just something you know. You have to, that's knowing, You're being guided by a higher force than your own mind, because our own mind always goes back to ego. And ego is more and more and more and more and more. So it's very important to reconnect to who we truly are, to our purpose, to our soul. And that's part of a much greater force than Janice and Gilbert. Janice and Gilbert are here to co-create, to add value to that higher force in your own way, Janice, in my own way, because that's you and that's me. That's why we have been born here on this world, to add value in that specific way that you can do and I can do. And that is a transformation that is taking place now in the world. I can see more and more and more people are leaving what I've done, leaving the executive functions, leaving very good paid functions, leaving everything to go to seek a greater purpose and a greater answer why I am here on this earth. What is my purpose? What should I be doing for humanity, for fellow human beings?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. What's one small action or daily habit that every parent that's watching this can start today to nurture that belonging and to reduce stress at home? Because everybody can't come to your wonderful retreat that will be,
No,
there. But what can they do at home?
absolutely. I will tell you what we are doing at home. The first thing we do in the morning, Janice, is we pray and we say thank to whatever name you want to give it, God, the universe, for having another day. So being thankful and practicing forgiveness, letting go of everything that we have to let go. Mindfulness, meditation, quieting the mind to whatever name you want to give it. Create that moment of me time. Me time means that you disconnecting from everything. And I know that's a challenge with a lot of parents. I know that's a challenge with the busy, 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 gotta, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. But we need to have the discipline to create that moment before starting the day, and if possible during the day or before going to bed. So a moment of gratitude, a moment of forgiveness, quieting the mind, whatever way you want to do it, meditation or mindfulness, and bring that sense of belonging and storytelling within the family. If it's lunch or dinner, sitting at a table and talk to each other, not on the phone, Janice, but communicate with each other, with your children, because you will get so much information out of them that you will be surprised having a good conversation with your children, what is bothering them. And I think that is key. We have lost that connection of communicating due to busy, 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 busy days, a lot of things to do. We're not communicating and we're losing sight what is actually happening with our children. What are the thoughts? What are the emotions? What are the pains? What bothers them? And once you lose sight, it's very difficult to get that back, because it's a matter of trust, it's a matter of connection. If they get in contact with friends, for example, friends with not the proper codes, a moral compass that you want to give them, I've seen it with so many families that that's a challenge to get them back, because then you as a parent, you don't count anymore. They're listening to someone outside there and explain to them that that's not the voice that you should listen to. You have to listen to us, a parent, where you have neglect that conversation, sitting at the table and talking and listening. So be grateful, quiet the mind, and make sure that you have on a daily basis a moment of conversation at a table with your family or with your children. That's key.
Okay, so I want you to tell everyone about your sanctuary and the name, because you told me about that before we got started on the show today. But tell everyone about the sanctuary. I think they should know about it, where it's located, and just everything.
Yes, yes. Well, the name of the sanctuary is Blenchi Sanctuary. Blenchi is the local name for the hummingbird. And why hummingbird? In the teachings of the shamans, they use four directions. The first direction is the snake. Why the snake? Because the snake, like human beings, shed his skin. And shedding skin means that you let go of what you should let go, which is not beneficial for you anymore, like a transformation, letting go of our traumas. That's the first direction. The second direction is the jaguar, is the west. Why the jaguar? Because the jaguar lives fearless. The jaguar lives on top of the food chain in the Amazon and has no predators. And fear is terrifying us. We live in so many fear, and the consequence and the impact of fear is that it affects our immune system. And because fear is based on higher levels of cortisol and adrenaline in our system, which is fight or flight, which is a natural reaction of our mammalian brain that help us to run, fight, or freeze, but it's not a modus to live on constantly. And the third direction is the hummingbird. That's why the name Blenchi Sanctuary. And why hummingbird? Hummingbirds are beautiful birds that they migrate 700-800 kilometers if necessary to find the best flower genus and the best nectar. They don't think, I don't have enough money, the children are still at home, I'm missing this, I'm missing that. No, when they receive the call of spirit, in Canada, for example, the migration from Amazon to Canada, certain flowers in the bloom, they just go. So, and the shamans say to you, when spirit calls, you have to answer. You have to answer, because if you don't answer, guess what? Spirit will keep calling you, and every time the call will be louder. So when spirit calls, you have to answer. That's why the name Blenchi Sanctuary, and Blenchi Sanctuary will bring together the knowledge of the shamans of the Amazon, the shamans of West Africa, Benin, and Togo, because we have been indoctrinated that voodoo is something bad, but voodoo is one of the most powerful healing tools in the world, Janice. The slaves starting to use voodoo to protect themselves against the conquerors, but the basic of voodoo is healing, it's not hurting someone. So the sanctuary will bring the knowledge of shamanation from the Amazon, from Benin and Togo. I did my ancestry test, and 75% of my ancestors are from Benin and Togo. My Queen Chantal is 60%. So it's not a coincidence that we are together in this world. And she is a yoga teacher, so we bring all that knowledge together in the sanctuary for individual sessions, for group sessions, for detox sessions, whatever is needed to free up the mind, clean up the body, clean up the guts from the crazy and busy world that we live in, Janice, that are getting us all not a little bit, but very, very sick.
Okay. So let me be clear. Are you doing voodoo at the sanctuary? Because people are going to want to know.
Sorry?
Are you doing voodoo at the sanctuary? Because people are going to
No,
want
no,
to
no,
know.
no.
Oh, okay.
No,
I just
no,
need to
no,
know
no,
because
no.
you mentioned it. So I was like, what's going on in the sanctuary? Okay.
No, 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 no,
I
no,
just need
no.
to know.
I just mentioned my origins from West Africa, but
Yes.
the teachings I've done
Okay.
is with the Amazon, the Keros from Peru,
Got it.
and that's the primary teaching for healing that I will be using.
I just want to clarify that. Okay. So people understand what's
Yeah.
going on over there. All right. But let's talk about your book a little bit more. What else can you tell us about your book before we go? Because we're starting to run out of time.
Yes, well, Healthy Minds, Healthy Nations is basically my own journey. As I explained, switching from not being able to study medicine, switching to management, executive management positions, and the experiences I have encountered where you see that basically, because you see someone sitting on the mountain, and you see in the back you see a skyline of buildings. That's executive world, where it's driven by power, money, and greed. And why the title? Because it all starts in our mind. The separation from nature, the separation from the universe, separation from co-being starts in our mind. We start thinking that we're much better, we know better, we have more money, we have more, and then we isolating ourselves. So I have encountered so many things during my career as an executive, at an insurance company, then at the refinery, then at the hospital, Janice, and the grade of, it's not suffering, but the grade of lessons being taught there was increasing in intensity. And I'm glad that I could see that now as a teaching, as a blessing, instead as a suffering, because otherwise I was not able to write this book. So that's what I'm teaching in the book, my experiences, starting with how I was grow up. My mother, actually, one of the chapters in the book is about guiding principles. My mother was very, and father, very keen in that. Your moral compass, do good. Doesn't matter if everyone is doing something which is not morally right, you have to do the right thing, always. So living by guiding principles, and then bringing that guiding principles into the executive world, where you see nowadays that it's not always about the human beings, but about more power, more money, and more and more and more and more. And how we can bring that knowledge of healing into, community work, not only the individual, but also community work. So that's why the subtitle, how meditation, quiet in the mind, shamanism, and indigenous healing can tap into your light within. That's our soul. And once you tap into your light within, you start glowing, and you start changing your life, the life of your loved ones, and you can start changing the world, because we all of us have that inner light, Janice.
Okay. To tell people how to find you so that way they can follow your journey.
Yes, they can find me on Facebook, on Instagram. They can find me also on my website that will be launched soon, where I will be having interviews and explaining about the sanctuary, explaining about the book. Probably also TikTok, because my marketing and PR manager tells me, TikTok is a very interesting platform because for the other brothers. So basically on all the social media platforms, and I will be launching a website where people can subscribe. I will be announcing, I think the launching dates will be probably the 3rd or the 4th week of February, and people can place pre-orders. So as soon as the book is out, they can be guided to Amazon to buy the book. So I will be also the information, so you can be distributed to the audience.
What is your handle for social media? Like, what do they look for? Is it at
Gilbert Martina, just my name, Gilbert Martina. Yes.
And your website is going to be the BlenchiSanctuary.com. Is that right?
Yes.
That's what I have.
And
Can they
first
find
for
it
the
now?
promotion. No, it's not live yet.
Not live yet, but it will be.
It's not
So you
live
guys,
yet, but
okay.
but the first step is the website for Gilbert Martina for promoting the book, and then the second phase, the BlenchiSanctuary.com. Yeah, that's
You
right.
can bookmark it for later, so when it's live, you can go back and check it out.
Yes.
But no, that's fantastic. No, congratulations, and I wish you the best of success, because successful Black parenting. See what I did there? We wish you the best of success.
Thank you,
Gilbert,
Jenny.
thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate learning all about you and your book and the sanctuary that's coming.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Thank you for the opportunity. It was a lovely interview, being able to share my experience, my pains, which ultimately become my wisdoms with you and the audience. And I really, really want to encourage everyone out there. Ask yourself, is this the life that I have been born to live on this earth? And the question is no. Start listening to your intuition, and you will be guided by higher forces to make the switch, make the transformation to the life where life becomes effortless, Janice. Things are falling into place. You don't have to do a lot of effort to make things happen. And then you know that you're really co-creating beauty with the universe, with God, because magical things happens in your life.
That's fantastic. Thank you again. And a big shout out to all of you watching this and the replay of this episode of BACKtalk by Successful Black Parenting Magazine. Be sure you follow us on social media. Click on everything, the follows, the likes, ads, that all helps us out and to keep us around. And until next time, I wish you all the best and much success. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to BACKtalk by Successful Black Parenting Magazine. We'll see you soon.